Is round 100 with only a knife even possible in BO4 Zombies without using the electric cherry exploit? We're gonna find out, and leave me your guess in the comments on what round you think I got to before you watch the whole thing. I'm actually really curious to see what you guys guess. I'm playing Blood of the Dead for this, and my starting weapon is the Stripe with the stiletto knife on it because it one slashes all the way up until round 5. I actually stayed in the spawn room for the first 2 rounds, and then turned on the first power switch before running to the new industries building. In there I can begin feeding zombies to the good pawpaw on the wall. When that's done, I leave one zombie and I can run through the catwalk area, being extremely careful to not get hit by every single zombie. There was 2 attempts where I actually downed here before learning the spawn pattern. Once we're safely inside the prison, which is something no one's ever said, and after the round 4 hellhounds, I started filling up the second pawpaw head, and I can start explaining what the plan is for the game. My goal is to fully upgrade the melee weapons in this match. We need to go from the knife to the silver spoon to the golden spork to the golden scalpel to an upgraded golden scalpel, and there's like 85 steps to all this. But first thing we need to do is get the dog head done so we can grab the Hell's Retriever tomahawk. With the second head done, I run down to the docks area, grab some shield pieces, and turn on the power. After he takes pity on me, I grab Dying Wish as my first perk and head up to the warden's office where the final dog head is located. Using the sword fillet elixir to increase my melee damage 5 times, it comes in super clutch here with cutting down the horde, even though it only does last for 60 seconds just like me. Now we can go through the underground area, which doesn't get enough love for how cool it is, and the tomahawk is ours. I then build the shield and pop my perk up elixir, which gives me the most useless perks it possibly could. But now here's where things start to get hectic. One of the first steps for upgrading the tomahawk, which we need for the spork, is to get kills with the tomahawk in this tiny area without using any guns. Brutus showed up and tried his hardest to ruin my day, but Luna also showed up to end his life. It only took a little over 1 round to complete this step, which really isn't too bad actually. Especially because my previous attempt at this, where I was here all the way until round 15 and died because the guide didn't actually explain anything properly and didn't include most of the corresponding blue head locations that you need once you're done. With that completed though, my tomahawk is taken away for now, and I need to wait until the next hellhound round to do the next step. So while I had time, I headed up to the roof and bought Quick Revive. At the end of the round, I also buy Ethereal Razor, which is insanely important to this challenge. This perk allows me to melee multiple zombies at a time and increases my melee damage overall, making it a must-have here. Down in the Citadel, I put in my number code from the warden's office to make the cage crash down to the floor, and now I need to use the shield's Ethereal Blast to switch on the crane in the docks. Oh yeah, if you're wondering why I stopped using the strafe for knifing, it's because Ethereal Razor and any other melee weapons don't work with it and doesn't increase the damage. Just want to throw that out there. Now that it's a hellhound round, I need to run around the map looking for a blue hellhound that can only be seen in the shield spectral mode. I've never been so annoyed with hellhounds in my entire life. These little fuckers just kept gnawing at my ankles every time I took the shield out to check to see where the dog was. Eventually I did find it in the showers and blasted it out of existence, meaning our tomahawk is fully upgraded to the Hell's Redeemer. All I need to do is grab it in the same tunnel that we grabbed the original, and this is actually a requirement for some of the melee upgrades later on, so it's good that we do it now. Next up on the extremely long list of things to do is finally go and grab the silver spoon, because my regular knife just isn't cutting it anymore, and Brutus is laughing at me even more than he was a couple of rounds ago. All I need to do is blast this box with the shield, throw a tomahawk at the net that comes over, and grab the spoon from this box right here. This silver spoon itself is actually a melee weapon with some increased damage over the basic knife, but it's gonna fall off quickly, so we need to keep upgrading. For the next step, I'll need the Blundergat, or at least that's what I was told, and I'll get to that in a second. But basically the mystery box didn't want to cough it up, but it did give me the ballistic knife, which will be super helpful. So I had to do the free Blundergat Easter egg quest of throwing the tomahawk at 5 different skulls around the map. Once that's done, it needed to be turned into the acid gat. From there, I dropped my spoon into a bathtub where in the original map you would get the spork from, and I headed up to the roof. The guide that I was watching said in order to progress this, I need to get kills with the acid gat on the roof, which is a huge pain in the ass because duh, I don't really want to have to use it. But I begrudgingly did it anyway in order to progress with the golden spork. The only problem is that the guide was fucking wrong again, and a later guide I watched had a comment with a correction saying you don't even need to use a gun, it just requires kills. I've got a special place of hatred in my heart for guides that come out as quickly as possible and are wrong and are never corrected, but it's a problem that Zombies has had for over a decade now. Anyway, rant aside, we can drain out the bathroom all of the blood and go on to the final step for the golden spork after waiting a full round because my last zombie died out when I used the teleporters. I also swapped out my acid gat for the RK7 Garrison since we won't be needing it anymore, but I do need a gun since this step trap was changed months after launch to where I now need it in order to collect the golden spork, because I need to shoot out a couple of different support structures that make the water tower collapse, and then you can grab the golden spork with the Hell's Redeemer. I have no idea why this was changed, but okay. Right after that, I instantly start working on the golden scalpel, and the first step for that is to get 100 knife kills in front of this tub of water. While I do that, what's even the point in doing all these upgrades anyway? Well, that's because the final upgraded golden scalpel kills zombies on any round in one slash, and it also one hits Brutus forever. That is super important for later rounds because sometimes you'll have 5 of them spawn in at once. We're also doing this because a lot of you probably have never seen this whole upgrade process since it wasn't available until about 4 months after BO4 were released. All the steps were leaked in the beginning of the game, but Treyarch just had the Easter egg turned off. Alright, with all those kills done, the water in the bathtub turns red and I can deposit my spork into it, meaning that for now we're back to the basic knife. There's still lots more to do though, so I decided to finally put my ballistic knives to work by upgrading them all the way to the max. I then need to run around the map again, collecting rocks from 3 different locations, like in the original spawn room, the roof of the warden's office, and once again from that stupid crane at the docks. I actually had trouble with this one since the hitbox for it is really small and you've only got 1 or 2 throws of the tomahawk to get it out before the crane moves back over. There's actually a sick ass play where my shield is basically broken with a whole horde behind me and Brutus, but I got the crane piece in the end, even though it did cost me a dying wish charge. Alright, and just throwing this out there as well, I barely use the Ragnaroks throughout this entire game, literally only taking them out when it's absolutely necessary. So now that we've got those 3 rocks, I now need to place them next to 3 different traps around the map and get 100 kills with each of those traps. Why the fuck is this a step? I'm already on round 23 and we're not even close to being done. The chain trap was easy in new industries since I'm used to that for high rounds. The acid trap in the cafeteria was a little bit more tricky since the zombies don't bunch up in the same way as BO2, meaning less space to get around. We saved the best for last though, and that's the fan trap inside of the warden's office. Hoarding up zombies on round 27 with only a knife is already hard. Having to do it in the cell block plus Brutus breathing down your neck is even harder. You know who came in absolutely clutch though? Luna. She spawned in and took down enough zombies behind me so that I could make it out, plus she put some hurting in on Brutus. My timely tortoise perk was also clutch because it made my shield explode when it breaks, so that helped me to get out of being trapped. Only a few more nervous hordes later and we're done with the 3 rocks that now they've all broken down into gemstones. Except wait, there's actually a 4th one you need to grab with the tomahawk when the teleporter gate is still open. I wasn't actually able to do it in time since a new round was starting, so we needed to wait to do all of round 29 with this crappy knife still. Once I did get it, now we've got all 4 infinity stones in my possession and I can finally upgrade to the golden scalpel, which this has a really cool forge animation to it. Despite that though, we're still not done because now I need to upgrade this thing too. After accidentally killing the last zombie 2 rounds in a row, round 32 is an excellent example of why this last upgrade is needed, because otherwise Brutus will run a train on me like it's your dad's birthday. Time to deposit my knife one last time, taking me back to the crappy one, and I'm going to need a Brutus for this part. So I headed down to the Citadel and typed in 666 on the number panel, which will spawn one in. Our last step is to bring him to the catwalk area near spawn and kill Brutus with a knife. So I did that and it didn't work, and at this point I'm really confused and worried because it's Black Ops 4, let's be honest, it's a 50-50 shot that this step glitched. And if it did, then I'll never be able to finish the quest or get my scalpel back. So next round I try to spawn in Brutus again using the 666 code and it just doesn't work. Apparently it can only be used once per game, which is weird. Now I need to wait for one to spawn in naturally again and keep it until the end of the round, which sounds easy, but round 35 and 36 didn't have one, so I devised a plan. When a few of them spawned in on 37, I used the shield blast to get through most of the zombies since it doesn't damage Brutus and my knife could have easily killed them on accident. With the round basically over, I came to a realization: the ballistic knife probably just doesn't count as a knife to the game, so I swapped over my swordfish, which I still had, popped a swordflay elixir, and lo and behold, it worked. We finally got the golden spork scalpel thing all the way upgraded, and it only took 38 rounds plus 3.5 hours of my life. I can finally start getting through rounds without having to worry about Treyarch's weird obsession with making Black Ops 4 Easter eggs longer than Johnny Sins. And look, I realize that obviously this isn't the most pure melee challenge in existence because I needed to use the shield and acid gat for steps to do this, but honestly it just makes things a little bit more interesting. So if you just want to call it a melee only challenge with an asterisk, then go ahead, I love you anyway. But now here's where the next question kicks in. How far can I actually get with this upgraded scalpel knife thingy? I'm in a pretty good position since we did all these steps earlier without having to take any down, so I've still got my 2 self revives. There's also a pretty good place to hoard up zombies at in the new industries building, so I'm kind of confident we can start rolling through rounds. One thing that was really good though that's becoming a headache now is actually Luna. When she spawns in and jumps at a group of zombies, she's now only able to kill one at a time while just knocking over the rest of them. This messes up the whole hoarding strategy most of the time, meaning I actually hope Luna doesn't spawn in. Coming from the world's #1 Blood Wolf Bite defender, that's really saying a lot. Luckily for me, there's still not any super sprinters yet though, so even though Luna almost gets me killed, she's still a 13 out of 10 good girl. And the next few rounds went pretty smoothly actually. The big issue is just being able to keep enough space between myself and the zombies to not get slapped up. Ethereal Razor I do think does also give some extra melee range, which is helpful, but honestly I can't tell. I don't have Black Ops 4 on PC, and I've gotten used to playing at 104 FOV on PC, so going back to 80 FOV on console is a bit jarring to me, especially for a melee only challenge. But look at just how effortlessly this golden sporkle abomination thing cuts through Brutus. It's like a work of fucking art, and still doesn't make up for the fact that how long this thing takes to get, but it does make me feel a little bit better about it. I felt a little less good about taking my first down here on 47 because honestly it was preventable. Part of the difficulty in any of these challenges is resisting the urge to just do it as fast as you can because it never ends well. The same applies for sex. That's some really good life advice there from your favorite boomer. Always wrap up your hot dog in some tinfoil. Back to zombies. My second perk up of the game once again gave me perks that literally do not help me whatsoever. I did recover and get the 2 perks back that matter though, so that's at least something that we've got to look forward to. One thing I still need to be careful of though is taking a second down quickly. Dying Wish is really good, but it has a long cooldown timer on it, something like 8 or 10 minutes, which this late in the game feels like an eternity. Getting to 50 is absolutely the priority right now for me, and luckily we do get there. Dying Wish finished recharging, and 49 was actually a little bit easier than most rounds, with me finally starting to get used to the knifing distance and the pacing down more and more. So hey, that's a big W for us I think, but we can't really start relaxing just yet. Round 50 is the one that lots of Brutuses spawn in, which while they are easier to deal with than earlier, they still knock over a lot of zombies, messing up my horde, and the screen shake just gives me a headache. Something about blood and mob always do that to me for some reason. But more urgently, starting on round 52 is when the first super sprinter zombies appear, and if you've never seen these things before, then they're wild. These zombies run faster than any of the other ones, and they can actually hit you from behind if you're not sprinting away from them. This is when my perk setup begins to get exposed, since having stamina up here is almost a necessity if you're not camping, and obviously I'm not doing that. That's why almost right away my Dying Wish gets popped, since this is probably the hardest adjustment of the whole game, is getting used to these super sprinters. Having to turn around and knife zombies that are inches away from you is never going to end well. Looking back, I probably should have had Secret Sauce in the Victorious Tortoise spot, that way I could swap it out whenever I needed to, instead of relying on perk up to not give me dog shit. Speaking of dogs and shit, Luna popped out as well to ruin my hordes once again, almost getting me killed in the process. Round 53 was a Hellhound round thankfully, but pretty much everything from here on out is butt clenching time. I can't overstate just how much these super sprinters change this game and how I need to play it. Which should mean that it comes as no shock that on round 55 I took my second down because of bad spawns and my weird commitment to not overusing the Ragnaroks. Just as a little extra gut punch, I lost my Ethereal Razor, and my perk up once again literally gave me the worst stuff it possibly could have. Either this thing is not as random as it claims, or I've had the single worst luck you could possibly have on all 3 of them. Since I've no longer got Ethereal Razor, only 1 zombie at a time can be knifed, which means this is going to be a very long end to this round. But even though it's slow, I would rather be slow than dead, since going to the warden's office for a perk right now would 100% be a death sentence. With the 1 zombie left, I went to get my Ethereal Razor back, and we can continue on sadly without any more self-revives. And as far as I'm aware, there's no side quest for an extra one like there is on 9 or Alpha Omega. Either that or once again guides have betrayed me, which wouldn't even shock me at this point. And on round 56, things didn't improve very much either. The still increasing spawn rates, super sprinters, and Luna finally caught up to me. After bailing out the other side of New Industries, I turned around to knife a few zombies, but a new super sprinter showed up behind me and gave me the big L. I'm really proud of this game though, and now you should go watch this video to see how far I made it in this same challenge on Mob of the Dead. Thanks for watching, love you, bye bye.